told me I would forget the desert and what they had fought for. But how could I not remember? It was where my life began.
Look at how you look at us now. Now that you look at us without fear. Now I like to look at you when you look at me, Gringuita.
Little more than a child, I dreamt I would do things that would change the world. That I would do something grand. Something really grand.
I know who I am, do you? What are you doing in a country that does not belong to you, viejo?
You can't understand me or anything else around here. They're fighting their war, whether you and I approve of it or not. It is their country.
I was only trying to change my life. They were trying to change their whole world.
The Old Gringo, a book of love, commitment, and mystery. The Old Gringo, otherwise known as Ambrose Bierce, is our first main character of the book. He left his old life in America, working as a journalist for Hearst Media. He left because both of his sons had committed suicide, and he was going to Mexico to die. After a while, roaming around Mexico, he comes across part of the Pancho Villa's army. He proves himself to the army by shooting a hole in a tossed coin, and is accepted to fight with them. He then gets wrapped up with dangerous people and deadly war games. The next important character in this book is Harriet Winslow. She was a teacher from Washington, D.C., hired by the Miranda family to teach their children. The only problem was that when she arrived there, the family had fled because of the war. She then becomes in love with General Arroyo and follows him around on his quest, but betrays him for the Old Gringo. General Arroyo has two personalities throughout the book. First off, he has deep-rooted anger to certain population in Mexico, for the Mirandas were mean to him. He hated their like, so he scared them off, and he took over their property and took their train, which is a big part of the book. When Harriet came in to teach the children, he took a liking to her. When the Gringo first came to meet him, he thought it was a joke until he put him to the test. The Old Gringo then ended up becoming his partner. This man has great power and has done many conquests in his reign. The author who wrote this book is Carlos Fuentes. He was born in Panama City in 1928 to Mexican parents. Since his father was a diplomat, he spent a lot of time in important American cities, which is a big influence in his writing. When he was older, he followed in the steps of his parents, and also became a diplomat, serving in London, Paris, France, and more. He resigned in 1978 over an appointment of a president. Later in his years, he fathered 3 children, of which only one, Cecilia Fuentes Mercado, survived. The others died at 25 and 30. He published his first book at age 30, La Región Más Transparente. An interesting fact is that he only writes with pens, ink, and paper, considering himself a pre-modern writer. He wrote Old Gringo, Gringo Viejo in Spanish, in 1985. It was filmed as Old Gringo, starring Gregory Peck and Jane Fonda. The book starts off with a woman remembering her experiences in Mexico with the wars, rape, and love. The next scene is a whole bunch of soldiers digging up the Old Gringo's body, remembering about who he was and what he did. Now, with the flashbacks over, it starts telling the account of Old Gringo's story. He starts his quest to die at the border of the U.S. and Mexico. His first thing to do is buy his famous white horse of which he rides everywhere. As he is riding away deeper into the wild, the train bridge explodes, symbolizing that the country is in a deep war. Eventually, after searching for a while, he comes across General Arroyo, who he follows and fights for. Along with Arroyo, there's a girl named Harriet Winslow who he becomes in love with. "The old gringo came here to die" is a major quote in the book said by multiple people. This shows the author's style, that he makes his characters not afraid of death, and making death seem like sort of a joke. He also writes his book in third-person style, for it was other people who said this, but his omniscience is only limited to the old gringo, because he cannot hear in the thoughts of the other people. It is very unique to him, also because you can see it from the eyes of a native Mexican, and what they think of American and American people. Thank you for watching this, and hope you don't go to Mexico hoping to die.